Welcome back to Steve Robb Reviews. Today's review is going to be all about changing your own oil on your vehicle. Let's get started right now. Let's start off with my truck and then I'll show you what's on the bench. Okay, so there's my setup there. I got the vehicle up on the ramps. I got my little blanket underneath there so I can slide in there nice and easy. And I've got the wheel chock in the back there to make sure that nothing happens. So let's go in the shop and let's take a look at the tools required. Okay, let's start off right here. Here's my little booklet that I have for all the services that I do, all the parts, the record keeping of everything. That's in that binder right there, and that stays in the truck. Then I got my oil filter remover. I got my oil container, my oil filter, and my funnel, and a pair of gloves, and my catch pan. So, no, this is not an oil change video. It's much more. So let's get into it right now. Okay, so as you can see, I changed oil myself on my Silverado. It's a 2021 Silverado. And when I first bought this truck, they give me free oil changes for 2 years. And what did I do? No, I changed it myself. So when you're thinking about doing an oil change yourself on your vehicle, whether it's under warranty or if it's not under warranty, there's liabilities involved. Everything involves liabilities. So let's just start off with a vehicle that has a warranty. Well, the liabilities are shared between the owner and the manufacturer. The manufacturer will warranty your whatever part it is, like take for instance your engine, with the conditions that you have liabilities as well. You have to bring it in the required time to get your oil changed. Whether it's at the dealer or somewhere else, it's liabilities. So, are you allowed to change your own oil yourself? Well, I can't answer that question. You have to ask the manufacturer of the vehicle you own and talk to them or send them an email or something and say, okay, so what's required if I want to change the oil myself? And what does it all entail? And what are my liabilities? Well, that's exactly what I did. And well, my response was, well, you have to use all the fluids that are mandated by the manufacturer. You have to follow them fluid recommendations, and you have to follow what the recommendation is for the oil filter. Now, you can ask them questions, whether it's aftermarket or not aftermarket, what's acceptable, what's not. I'm not going to tell you what's acceptable and what's not. You got to do your own homework. As you can see here, I use a brand of filter that's acceptable to the manufacturer, and I use the oil that's acceptable to the manufacturer. You've got to check for yourself. It's all about liabilities. So if you want to change the oil yourself while it's under warranty, well, in my particular case, the manufacturer has no problem with me doing it, but I assume all the liabilities in doing the job. First of all, you got safety concerns. You have to assume all the safety concerns of yourself while you're changing the oil. Then you've got to assume all the liabilities when it comes to if you're doing anything wrong during that oil change that damages anything else, you assume the liability. And I guess the main one would be you assume the liabilities of making sure that everything is done to their specifications. You got to keep a logbook. My specification for this vehicle is I got to keep a logbook of the parts I'm using, the oil I'm using. I got to record the date of the oil change. I record all the parameters, including the hours, everything, so that I'm in compliance. Now, take for instance, if you want to take it to like a rapid lube place, some quick lube place, well, don't ask anybody on YouTube if you can take it somewhere else. Ask the manufacturer, because they're the one that's going to be be fixing your vehicle more likely if down the road something happens. Or are you willing to accept the liability of, say, a fast lube place if they do something wrong, whether they're going to be there to stand up for you? So it's all about you assuming some risk or assuming more risk. Now, the least riskiest way is, well, to not change oil yourself and have somebody else do it, right? that's not your brother-in-law Bob working out of his driveway, because are you going to ask him to assume all the liabilities? I don't think so. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to assume the liabilities or not. In my particular situation, I'll tell you the reasons why I do it myself. I don't like going to a place to have them change it. It's time out of my day that I am quite well trained to do this job myself. I feel confident in doing it. If you don't feel confident in doing it, you don't have the tools, you don't have the know-how, well, you're probably best off not to do it, right? Just like everything else in life, if you're not too sure about doing something, get a professional to do it. You know, because sometimes practicing on your own vehicle might not work out too good. And of course, you got to be safe while you're doing something, right? So I've got all the tools, I got all the know-how, I know how to do this, I feel confident in doing it, and I made sure I contacted the manufacturer to make sure that I'm in compliance while under warranty. And it's pretty well, it's quite easy to stay in compliance. On YouTube, you'll hear all kinds of horror stories about, you know, people that change their own oil, and this happened or that happened. They got an uncle that has a buddy that lives over in another country, and this is what happened to him. And, you know, it's all a bunch of nightmare stories. But generally, if you contact the manufacturer, ask them, what's all the parameters involved in me doing my own oil changes? They will be quite frank with you, and they will tell you exactly how to stay in compliance. And at that point, the only thing that you're doing is the labor itself and the work. You're not assuming all the liabilities like some people think. So I mean, if you change oil and go down the road and your engine locks up for some reason, doesn't mean it's your fault because you changed the oil. I mean, they're going to investigate it. They're going to make sure that you didn't do something that was wrong, and then we'll go further, right? But when it comes down to it, there's a lot of people who are going to recommend, yeah, you can just do it. Just go ahead, do it. You know, somebody just has a conversation. Yeah, you can change your own oil, no problem. Or you can take it here, no problem. You can take it there, no problem. And, you know, well, when it comes down to it, it all comes down to liabilities. And how much liability do you want to assume for the cost of an oil change? Because some people, they figure they want to save themselves some money. They do it themselves. And like every other mechanical, you know, service, well, there's some risk involved if you don't know what you're doing. And myself, I don't like the idea of driving over to some place, getting it worked on. And there's all kinds of liabilities on my part when I actually show up there to stuff that could happen to my vehicle beyond having an oil change. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, you know, in a big yard somewhere where they're doing oil changes after oil changes after oil changes. The next thing you know, you go out to your vehicle and like my next door neighbor, he's got a company truck, took his in for an oil change, come out with a great big dent in the front of his truck. They said, oh, well, no, it wasn't us. Must have been there when you came in here. Well, you know, I don't want to get involved in that kind of stuff. I don't want to assume the liabilities. It's very rare that that stuff happens. But when it's your word against theirs and there's no documentation, there's no nothing, well, guess what? You're assuming the liabilities. So thanks for joining me here today. I just thought I'd share this because, you know, the controversy many times is, should I do something or not do something, and who to ask? Well, all I'm saying in this video is ask the people that are bearing the responsibility and the liability, which is the manufacturer. So thanks for joining me here today. Come back again. I got to get onto that oil change right now. It's going to take me half an hour from the time I start to the time I'm finished, including this video. Cheers.